and Meyers Drysdale, the Phoenix Suns vice president and the Phoenix Suns color analyst for Fox Sports Arizona. Annie, good to talk to you this morning. If I would have said to you back in, say, November, the Phoenix Suns are going to be playing in the Western Conference Finals, what would you have said?
Well, being in the organization for 14 years now, I would have said yes, because of the way they ended in the bubble last year. And then certainly with, Monty's really done an incredible job, and his staff as far as getting these guys to believe in his system and the team, and it's one for all.
Also, we saw them, I think people might have looked at them as like a cute team in the bubble when they went 8-0 and a good story, and then we weren't sure if it would carry over. But then getting Chris Paul, like, what did you see different with Chris Paul on that team that maybe was lacking?
Yeah, and certainly Chris is unbelievable as far as his leadership and his relationship with Monty and Willie Green. And, having Jay Crowder was huge. Certainly the guards we brought in, but just the maturation of Ayton, DeAndre, and Mikhail Bridges, and certainly Cam Johnson is it's almost like we are peaking for the playoffs. There's no question about it. We have the second best record in the league, and it was interesting going into the playoffs that people didn't pick us at all. I mean, we're still the underdog, even against the Clippers.
Chris Paul's status for Game 2 is what?
We don't know yet. We haven't been told, and it's just day to day. But, just having him on the court and his presence, his ability to communicate with the other players, I think is such a big plus. And he's always in their ear, and everybody, we've talked about it all season long, whether Eddie Johnson or Kevin Ray and myself, and, when we've had the chance to talk to Monty and some of the players, and, Chris is in their ear, on the floor, on the bench, it just in the locker room, constantly talking to them. And, Book has said it too, is nobody gets upset at each other, no matter how much, there may be some kind of, aggressive talk to each other, but it's all in good faith and all about the team getting better. And, Chris has brought that leadership, and Monty continues to talk about it.
For those who haven't seen Devin Booker, how would you describe his game?
Well, Book, he is coming into Phoenix, and we had a lot of guards at that time and a lot left. And he was a rookie that had sat the bench at Kentucky and came in, and PJ Tucker was there at the time. And I think that really helped his game also. Just a lot of different people that have come in. He had, 6 different coaches. So the ability to be able to learn under a lot of different people and sustain his positiveness. But I know that Kobe was a great influence on him. His father has been a great influence on him. But if you look for, Dame has got an unbelievable game. Steph's got an unbelievable game. You go down the list. But right now, Book is probably the most like Kobe in the way that he plays the game. And certainly his mid-range game is as good as Chris Paul's. But his ability to shoot the three and handle the ball, and he really wants to be recognized for his defense too. His defense has gotten better, but he's got a chip on his shoulder in the sense that hasn't been picked for the All-Star games. He's been alternate, and certainly has not made any of the teams, whether it be defensive or all NBA, and that sticks with you and it drives you. But I think his game is most like Kobe's, but I also think it's most like Devin Booker's.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, the Kobe comparison, because it's a little tricky, because Kobe had this attack mode constantly. Like, he wanted to kill you. And Booker, I don't know if he has that temperament that he wants to continue to bring it.
Yeah, but they were pretty close and they talked a lot. And I think, not too many people have what Kobe had. I think Russ Westbrook probably has that the most in the game right now, for me, that I watch. And but Devin shows it in a different way, and he's got a lot of killer instinct, but it shows a different way. And nobody's Kobe, nobody's Michael, nobody's LeBron, and but certainly I think that Devin Booker has established himself. But again, a lot of people talk about Donovan Mitchell. They're talking about Mitchell more in Utah than they are about Book in Phoenix. But Booker's he's just taking his time, and I think people will see. I mean, what he did yesterday, the triple double, And, he's been a tough rebounding guard. He rebounds, 7 rebounds a game, and he can get 4 to 6 assists a game. But last night he got 11. So, he's capable, and we've seen him against Boston, he had 70 points. So we know that he can score. And but when he's not scoring, he can do other things. And I think that that's the one thing that he prides himself on, as Kobe did. There's games where it just doesn't work for you, but certainly I think that playing defense, setting screens, blocking out, and he's recognizing that more and more.
And Meyers Drysdale, the Hall of Famer, Phoenix Suns vice president, Suns color analyst for Fox Sports Arizona. How well did you know Kobe?
His dad coached the LA Sparks. And so that's where I really first got to know Kobe. And certainly he lives down in Orange County where I'm at. And we've had interaction and so forth, and probably not as close. And what I love is a lot of the WNBA players like Jewel Lloyd and Sabrina Ionescu and Diana Taurasi has been given the White Mamba name by Kobe. And certainly grew up in Southern California, idolizing him. And so he's been around the WNBA quite a bit. And that was kind of a big loss for that side. And as a matter of fact, yesterday's game, the New York Liberty at Los Angeles Sparks, was the day of the 25th anniversary of the WNBA starting. And what's unfortunate that it didn't get a lot of coverage. It was tough because you're going against not only the 2 games, but also the U.S. Open. But because he was so involved with women's basketball and his camps, I got to know him through there and would see him at a lot of different games.
We've been talking a lot about Ben Simmons today, and I'm guessing with your title as Suns vice president, you can't talk about somebody individually. I don't know. I don't want to get you in trouble, but this mental hurdle that we have, it's not necessarily, it's physical, but then it becomes mental. Like, I don't know, Annie, when athletes have to think, that's usually when they get in trouble. They usually react here. And I don't know, like Ben Simmons is not a quick fix where you just go, hey, work on your form. It's mental now.
Well, I'm not going to say anything on that, but my late husband, Don Drysdale, used to say, don't think, it hurts the ball club. And so, you just go out there and play. I remember Magic when he played for the Los Angeles Lakers, and he was limited. He was very young when he came in with the Lakers, but he was limited in a lot of things that he could do and couldn't do. But the one thing that Magic did is every summer he worked on what he couldn't do, and he improved on that, whether it be his outside shot or his defense and so forth. But, the players that want to get better and want to be great work on the things that they're not quite as efficient on.
When you went to the Pacers camp, who were the players with the Pacers?
Johnny Davis, who I had known with the Pan Am Games. And we had George McGinnis and Alex English, Brad Davis. It was a free agent rookie camp. So I was signed as a free agent. I wasn't drafted. And I'm trying to, it's been a long time, Dan.
I know.
It's been a long time.
but for those of us in the audience who don't know, explain, you came out of UCLA and you were, like, this was a big deal. You were invited to camp. Were you treated as just a basketball player when you got there?
Well, there were a lot of things that had happened to I guess, prepare me for that, whether my whole life playing sports and in the game of basketball and playing USA basketball and playing against the men growing up and playing at Pauley Pavilion and pickup games. But certainly my brother David playing for Coach John Wooden and winning a couple of national championships. And he was the number 1 draft pick for the Lakers and was in the trade that brought Kareem to LA. And so David was playing in Milwaukee. When I went to UCLA, it was a human interest story. So the media talked a lot about my brother David and myself. I went to the Olympics. We won silver. It was the first time they had women's basketball in the Olympics. My senior year, we won the national championship. So, being in Los Angeles, being at UCLA, I had received a lot of exposure. And I was planning to go to the 1980 Olympics. So you still had to be amateur at that time. So the new owner of the Indiana Pacers was Sam Nassi. I got a call when I came back from Russia in the Spartacade games. And certainly David being in the NBA, I knew a lot of people in the NBA, players and coaches being on all these different international teams. So it's not like people didn't know who I was. Certainly a thing where, I was just as surprised as anybody else, but I thought it was an opportunity of a lifetime, that a lot of people don't get asked for something like that. And I had a lot of belief in my ability, whether a lot of people thought it was a publicity stunt. I know that there were, but at that time I didn't think that. I thought it was somebody was giving me a chance to do something, and I took it. And so mentally, physically, emotionally, it was the best I was ever prepared to play the game. I mean, I focused on working out with one of my other brothers, and mentally got in my head, and physically I was talking to David and talking to other people. So I was ready, but it was a different situation. Did they treat me? Slick Leonard, who was the coach, came out several times to California to talk me out of it. He did not want this to happen.
Why?
Jack McCloskey, well, I think he just grew up in a different generation. I mean, when are you going to have some girl try out in the NBA? That certainly was the attitude of a lot of the media. And I never known, Dan, what a press conference was. I just, I wasn't very good at talking, but a press conference, what was that? So we had a press conference, and certainly I'd been interviewed a lot when I was at UCLA, and even before that in high school and elementary school. But now this press conference was pretty attacking by the media. And I was very caught off guard on that. So I didn't know how to deal with that very well. But I got to Indiana, and, it was going to happen. I mean, the owner was going to have it happen, and I agreed to do it. So Jack McCloskey was one of the assistants, and he said, at one point, fundamentally, I was better than half the guys out there. So that's from my UCLA days, certainly, and knowing the fundamentals. But, it was a great experience for me. I mean, we had the 3 days of 2-a-day practices. And I know it was tough on the guys because it was a no-win situation for them. If they blocked my shot, no big deal. It's only a girl. But if I made a shot, you let some girl beat you, which is the name of my book. You let some girl beat you. Come on, Pat, or Dan, you and I, if we played, and if I beat you, what do you think the Danettes would say?
You wouldn't beat me.
Oh.
You would not beat me.
Well, but see, that's your attitude. Well, you went to Dayton. I went to UCLA.
It wouldn't. No, but it wouldn't matter who I was talking to. I would say they wouldn't beat me.
I know that's who you are.
Yes,
that's what I love about you.
Yes,
and you have to have that attitude, and that's what I had going into play against the guys, because I'd always played against the guys. So even though a lot of people felt, well, she can't do this and she can't do that and she can't do that, and I always thought, what can I do? And even now, when I was the general manager for the Phoenix Mercury, and even when I look at the NBA, I look at what guys can do. Not, there's a deficiency in everybody's game, but look at, why did you pick that person? Well, you picked them for a certain reason. So I want to see what they can do. And certainly as far as, mentally, as you mentioned earlier, it's a lot of, you've got to be in a good frame of mind, and you have to have a lot of positive people around you. And so with my tryout, I did have positive people around me. And thank goodness I didn't have social media then, because,
How close are we to a female head coach in the NBA?
I think it's going to happen. There's no question. The fact that we're talking about it and it's been exposed out there so much. It's like, Charles was talking last night about, the Black coaches. You've got to have the conversations. You've got to bring the issues out so people are aware of them. And whether you agree or disagree, you have to have, I think, the conversation to be able to talk about it. And the fact that we've talked about having a woman coach in the NBA, it's going to happen. And now who that organization is going to be, who that general manager and owner is going to be positive about it, then you got to sell your media, your local market, because the media is not for it. And that's very obvious. But it's going to be somebody that's got to be a strong personality that's been in the game and has had things said about them already. And certainly we know that Becky Hammon is out there, and people have talked about Dawn Staley at South Carolina. But, this was talk when Pat Summitt and Tara Vanderveer, there was talk about them taking over as coaches on the men's side. So, it's not like this is new. It's been going on for a long time.
It's great to talk to you as always. And
it's so good to see you.
And how is your jumper? When's the last time you took a shot?
Well, I got a basket in the backyard, so I'll shoot my little 3 bankers.
Okay.
That drives me nuts that the bank shot is almost disappeared. Where's the bank shot?
Well, that was one of Coach Wooden. He loved the bank shot. Tim
Well,
Duncan.
see, it's been proven that it's a higher percentage of the shot going in. And if it's missed, 70% of the shots are dropped within that area. So you give an opportunity to your teammate to get a rebound.
But I don't miss, so they don't have to worry about a rebound, Ann. You know that. Great to
Is
talk
that
to
what Reggie says?
I don't mess with Reggie. When it comes to a shooting contest, I don't mess with Reggie. I know my limitations, Annie. Hey, thanks for joining us, and good luck the rest of the series.
Hey, thanks. And watch the Mercury, too.
That's Ann Meyers Drysdale, the Phoenix Suns vice president and color analyst for Fox Sports Arizona.